Pratyahara yoga is the fifth limb of yoga. It's a powerful way to master your mind, cultivate inner peace, and boost your focus and concentration. While you may have tried some of the many yoga meditation styles, and you may have tried all of the 28 forms of yoga, Pratyahara yoga is different. Pratyahara techniques are all about sense withdrawal. They are about reducing the effects of negative influence in your life. Imagine if you could access a state of mind where you are not distracted, where you are not affected by other people, where noisy environments do not bother you. What if you could maintain total inner peace even in the hardest of times? It's possible when you learn the art of Pratyahara yoga. Introduction to Pratyahara yoga, the yogic mind training technique. In my guide to using yoga for positivity, I reveal how you can boost your mindset by using certain yoga poses. Pratyahara is similar because it boosts positivity and inner well-being. But it also goes much further. When you practice Pratyahara techniques, you truly come to master your mind. As all experienced yogis should know, meditation is important in yoga. Try this yoga meditation, Bhakti. Pratyahara is very similar to meditation. Pratyahara techniques are all about training the mind to withdraw from the senses. Judith Lassater, Ph. D. PT, says that Pratyahara yoga is when we have a space between the world around us and our responses to that world. When we practice Pratyahara techniques, we train the mind to be present in the world but spiritually and emotionally protected at the same time, as though there were a psychic shell around us. Put simply, when you learn Pratyahara yoga, your mind becomes invincible to external stimuli. This is the equivalent to practicing good mental hygiene. Pratyahara yoga benefits. Pratyahara exercises offers many benefits, of which the most important is this: with Pratyahara yoga, we are not reactive. Most people spend their entire lives in a constant cycle of reactivity. Your phone rings so you immediately answer it. It's a meme your friend sent. You laugh. Look for other memes. Send one back. Now you're on Facebook. Oh, there's a big news story on Facebook, better read that. Most of us know what it feels like to live in this perpetual cycle of reactivity. Pratyahara techniques give us the ability to step out of all that reactivity. It puts a psychic shield up between ourselves and the world. It stops us from being so easily swayed by what's going on around us. Because we are less reactive, we are also calm. And calmness itself offers many benefits too. Being relaxed. Essential when you want to find happiness is good for the body and mind, improves our immune system, reduces negative feelings like stress, promotes inner joy and happiness, reduces free radicals, which cause illness and death. So there are many benefits of Pratyahara, of which the most important is that it distances the mind from the overload of external stimuli. Sounds good, right? So how can we experience Pratyahara yoga? To experience the benefits of Pratyahara, we have to practice it properly. And to practice Pratyahara exercises, we need to understand its role in the yogic system. Let's take a look. What is Pratyahara yoga? Take a look at my list of the top yoga meditation techniques that will change your life. Pratyahara yoga is similar to many of those techniques. Many Pratyahara techniques are similar to meditation because they create inner calm and help us focus our minds, giving us mental strength and emotional control. But there are important differences between Pratyahara exercises and meditation. In fact, Pratyahara yoga and meditation actually work best when practiced together. So when you practice yogic meditations such as Bhakti, it is best to complement them with Pratyahara yoga. Here's how meditation and Pratyahara yoga work together. Many meditators find that they can produce inner peace when they meditate, but they lose their calm when they stop meditating. This makes sense when you think about the nature of the mind. The mind is like a boat with holes in it. When you meditate, you empty the water, empty the thoughts, sensory information, from the boat, the mind, but it doesn't patch the holes, so inevitably water will come back in. The water, the noise, in the mind comes from the senses. Information flows into the mind through the senses, and no matter how much you meditate, you will always end up with a mind of noise unless you stop that overflow of information from entering your mind in the first place. To keep the mind empty, stop the noise from getting in. That's what Pratyahara Yoga is all about. It safeguards the mind from external stimuli so that we can keep our inner peace and quiet. That's why, if you lose focus shortly after meditating, you should start practicing Pratyahara techniques. Pratyahara Yoga helps us keep focus by withdrawing from senses, and my guide to keeping focus in life. I discuss how easy it is to get caught up in external stimuli. In other words, it's easy to be distracted. We get distracted because of the senses. The Katha Upanishad, an ancient Sanskrit text containing many of the founding philosophies of Hinduism, explains that sensory overload will derail a person. In Katha Upanishads, there is the depiction of the Hindu philosophy of Ratha Kalpana, horse image. This description shows the body as a chariot that carries the self. This chariot is pulled by horses that represent the senses, and driven by buddhi, inner wisdom, which uses manas, sensory mind, as reins. This horse-drawn chariot symbolizes how we lose control of the mind when we become too caught up in the senses. Do you experience any of the following problems? Easily being distracted, overreacting to things around you, restlessness, checking your phone or email all the time, unwanted habits, sensory overload, information overload, addiction to social media. So, your senses might be getting the better of you. Senses have a will of their own. They tell you what to do. They direct you to check your email, visit Facebook, perform unwanted habits, and so on, without you even being aware that they're taking control. Enlightened people have complete control of their senses. But the average person is on autopilot, reacting to sensory information, allowing their senses to dictate their actions. By controlling the senses, we can shape the subconscious mind. In my guide to the subconscious mind training, I reveal how to take control of this most powerful part of your mind. Pratyahara Yoga is very beneficial to the subconscious mind because it gives us control of the information we take in. Too much negative sensory information will corrode the mind just like fat will clog your arteries. Many people experience violent, depressive, angry, sad, or just plain negative thoughts. And the majority of those thoughts come from the sensory information we expose ourselves to. We can think of these things as bad mental hygiene. They put impure information in the mind. Take the daily news, for instance. A constant stream of negativity and violence. It makes the world look like an awful place. And those impressions enter the mind and change our subconscious. In fact, scientific studies have proven that people who watch the news every day are more likely to experience anxiety and depression because the news makes them believe the world is a bad place. Facebook, Twitter, negative people, they all do the same thing. They give the mind poor nourishment. They make the mind fed on negative impressions. Ayurveda, an Indian medicinal system, states that mental impressions are the food of the mind. When you're on Facebook every day, or watching the news, you're essentially ingesting the mental equivalent of McDonald's. Your mind will become unhealthy because of it. The idea of information as food is important in yoga. Yogis use the word ahara to refer to the different kinds of food. There is the psychical food, the elements of earth, water, fire and air, impressions that feed the subconscious mind, sensory information, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, and associations, people who nourish our soul and influence our gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Pratyahara Yoga involves all these kinds of foods. It involves eating healthy, withdrawing from unhealthy foods, and removing negative impressions, TV, social media, etc. When we withdraw from unhealthy foods, we achieve both a healthy body and a healthy mind. This is something many different spiritualities focus on, but in shockingly different ways. Many spiritualities focus on controlling the senses. Most religions recognize how the senses drag us off course. Some spiritualities go to extreme lengths to master the senses. There's fasting, celibacy, lying on a bed of nail, solitary confinement, suspension, putting hooks through the skin to suspend the body in painful ways, wearing a hair shirt, a shirt made of goat skin that creates agonizing discomfort, self-flagellation, sunlight, diet, taking no nourishment but air and sunlight, and for everyone else, there's meditation and Pratyahara yoga. Meditation and Pratyahara are safe, healthy ways of achieving control of the senses. Pratyahara yoga is one of the 8 limbs of yoga. Pratyahara yoga comes from Ashtanga yoga, a classical form of yoga devised by the sage Patanjali some 1,700 years ago. Read our guide to 13 types of yoga for more on this. Ashtanga yoga describes 8 stages or limbs: yama, observances; niyama, disciplines; asana, postures; pranayama, breath control; pratyahara, control of senses; dharana, concentration; dhyana, meditation; samadhi, absorption. The 5th limb is pratyahara, which literally means withdrawal of the senses. This is the same as the first stage of the Buddhist Kala Chakra, Tantras, Sadanga Yoga. Long story short, Pratyahara techniques are about withdrawing from the senses. As such, Pratyahara yoga is a halfway point in yoga. It is between the outer aspects like asanas, and the inner aspect like samadhi, and because Pratyahara is in the middle, it is one of the most important parts, binding the outer and inner together. Pratyahara benefits both the mind and body. It helps with both the physical aspects of yoga and the psychological aspects. We'll look at precisely how to do Pratyahara techniques in a moment. First, let's look at the meaning of Pratyahara. What Pratyahara yoga means in our spiritual words dictionary. We describe Pratyahara as withdrawal from the senses. The actual definition of the word Pratyahara comes from 2 Sanskrit words, prati and ahara. The first word means to move away from, and the second refers to anything we take into the mind or body. Prati, move away from; ahara, things taken into ourselves. Interestingly, prati also means to copy. So, what does Pratyahara yoga mean? It means to move away from things taken into ourselves. In other words, to withdraw from sensory consumption, and then to replace the senses with something more positive. Yogis and Buddhists use this sense withdrawal in different ways. Buddhists remove the senses in order to replace them with mental images of the Buddha. Yogis use Pratyahara techniques to achieve samyama, a meditative state where we transcend mind and body to achieve complete awareness of the true self. Pratyahara yoga may also be used in more practical, down-to-earth terms. For instance, we can use Pratyahara yoga to relax and focus the mind, and to replace negative sensory information, such as violent images from the media, with positive thoughts, such as love and kindness, which will promote happiness and inner peace. Here's what Pratyahara feels like when we practice Pratyahara. We stop the different types of sensory information, the 5 senses, from reaching their respective areas of the brain. In other words, we turn off the noise of the world. Imagine being able to walk through the busiest of cities while maintaining inner peace. Imagine not being affected by raised voices and bright lights. Imagine always having inner calm and composure. That's what Pratyahara gives us. BCTT tweet equals, just as a tortoise withdraws its limbs, so when a man withdraws his senses from the sense objects, his wisdom becomes steady. Bhagavad Gita, username equals T_D_ meditation. How to do Pratyahara yoga, techniques and exercises. We've taken a good look at the background of Pratyahara yoga. Now it's time to start to learn how to do Pratyahara techniques. To start with, let's look at the 4 main types of Pratyahara yoga. Types of Pratyahara yoga. There are 4 main types of Pratyahara yoga that we can practice. Indriya Pratyahara. When we take in too much information via the senses, we lose focus and risk losing our inner peace. Problem is, society predisposes us to sensory overload. Books, social media, TV, video games, magazines, all of this can be junk food for the mind. I say can be because some games, shows, social media pages, etc. actually do give positive impressions. On our Facebook page, for instance, we always share positive impressions to create positive minds. But we are one of the rare few who actually do that. Most publishers focus on sensationalism. Indriya Pratyahara yoga focuses on withdrawing from these negative sensory impressions. This removes those junk foods from the mind and creates inner peace and mental well-being. Prana Pratyahara. The senses are driven by prana. Therefore, we can gain control of the senses by controlling the flow of prana. There are many yogic practices to control prana, the most notable being pranayama, the practice of controlling prana through specific breathing exercises. One way of controlling the flow of prana is by using chakra dhyana meditation. Karma Pratyahara. Karma Pratyahara yoga involves the practice of karma yoga. Karma yoga is about surrendering every action to the divine. It is a dedicated practice in which we act selflessly, our every deed done for the benefit of others and in devotion to the divine. Mano Pratyahara is about withdrawing from that which is impure and unwholesome. This is done by sensory withdrawal and cultivation of the inward mind. Now we know everything we need to know about Pratyahara yoga. Time to start practicing some Pratyahara techniques. How to do Pratyahara techniques. Introduction. You have probably noticed that Pratyahara yoga is a big subject. It is one of the most complex parts of yoga, which is one reason many yogis make the mistake of not practicing it. Because Pratyahara yoga is such a big subject, it involves many different techniques. Some of those techniques are easy and suitable for novice yogis, and others are more complex and suitable for advanced yoga practitioners. This in-depth guide will lead you through a complete system of Pratyahara yoga. Because this is an in-depth process, I highly recommend that you do each step as you come to it or make notes for later. Also consider bookmarking this, or saving it on Facebook, so you can refer to it later. Point 1. Adopt the Pratyahara yoga lifestyle. The best way to start Pratyahara is to make a few important lifestyle changes. Point 1. Follow the basics of wellness. To start doing Pratyahara, follow the essentials of wellness. Follow these 7 essential easy wellness tips. You might also like to start doing some Ayurveda practices. Point 1. B. Check your device. It seems strange to start such a spiritual practice with so trivial a matter. But today, our devices are the main source of negative impressions. Follow these steps to prepare your devices for a healthier lifestyle. Go through your social media. Delete all pages that give negative impressions. Feel free to add pages that gives genuinely positive impressions, like ours at facebook.com/thedailymeditation. Block any site that is a source of negativity. There are specific Chrome plugins you can use to prevent yourself from visiting these sites. Make all imagery on your device's positive wallpaper, profile pics, etc. Remove negative apps, violent games, apps that distract you, etc. Delete negative people from your contact list. Stop unnecessary notifications like Facebook. You don't need those annoying pop-up messages 24/7. Now your devices are far more positive. Take a look at my guide to make Facebook more positive. Point 1. C. Distance yourself from negative people. Negative people are one of the main sources of negative impressions. If there are people in your life who routinely make you feel negative, distance yourself from them. Go through Facebook and delete people who make you feel negative. Tell that one major source of negativity that you are going to be distancing yourself from them. Stop going to places rife with negative people, like that grotty bar you sometimes go to. Yes, I'm talking to myself here. Point 1. D. Change your entertainment. As a writer and actor, I personally love the stories on TV, and in movies and games. But they can be a source of negative impressions. Be selective in your choice of media. It's difficult to avoid all negativity. Instead, ask yourself what effect individual games, movies, books, and TV shows are having on you. If something is too negative, get rid of it. Point 1. E. Lose your phone. Do you really need your phone with you always? Probably not, and it is a constant source of sensory information. Get rid of it at least some of the time. Point 1. F. Love and the antithesis of love. Today, love is both performed and depicted in both positive and negative ways. It's fairly obvious which is which. Stick to the positive. Incidentally, if you are single and have a negative view of relationships, doing this one thing will change your life, and you won't need dating sites anymore. When you correct your perspective on love, love will come rushing to you. Point 1. G. Meditation and mindfulness. Practice a system of meditation and mindfulness. This will replace negative mind impressions with positive ones. Point 1. H. Sleep healthily. Healthy sleep is the #1 natural form of Pratyahara because when we sleep we stop the flow of sensory information and allow the mind to restore its inner balance. That's why it is essential to get the right amount of healthy sleep each night. Can't sleep? Read this guide to using meditation for sleep. Problem solved. So that's the basics of removing negative people, negative influences from your life. While we are removing negative impressions, we can also introduce positive ones. Here's how. Point 1. I meditate on nature. Mother Nature is a constant source of positive impressions. When we meditate on nature, we boost the positivity of our subconscious mind. Visit a waterfall or other beautiful nature spot and meditate on it. Point 1. J. Spend time with positive people. Positive friends and family are a great source of good influences. Spend time with the people who will boost your mind. Point 1. K. Practice karma yoga. Good work can be a profound source of positive impressions and a great way of improving self-control. When we dedicate our work to others, or to the divine, we produce positive karma. We stop being controlled by our selfish senses, and we start being motivated by love, kindness, compassion, and selflessness. 2. Advancing the Pratyahara yoga lifestyle. We now have a sound foundation to build on. Time to expand into a more advanced, even healthier lifestyle. Here's how. Point 2. Periods of fasting. Fasting is one of the most powerful ways to train the mind to control the senses. Fasting for just 24 hours requires great focus and willpower. That's 24 hours in which the senses are telling the mind to eat. 24 hours in which the mind is learning to withdraw from those senses. This is a powerful mind awakening experience. DISCALIMER. Consult your doctor before trying this. 2. B. Periods of celibacy. Another way our senses scream at us is by demanding UAL gratification. Abstaining from that gratification is a powerful way of training the mind. Some monks vow themselves to an entire life of celibacy. This is unenlightened. It is a natural and healthy urge to make love. However, practicing celibacy for a period of time can have tremendous benefits. The benefits of celibacy include increased self-control, peace of mind, less concern about physical appearance, less risk of STDs, STIs, decreased lust, increased kindness. 2. C. Periods of silence. Some Buddhist sanghas, communities, vow themselves to never speak. This is because speech is often a source of conflict and negative impressions. Consider how much speech is violent, manipulative, or otherwise harmful. Not speaking at all is an impossibility in most modern societies. But periods of silence are possible. When we abstain from speaking, we train the mind to not give voice to negative thoughts. By not speaking, we stop ourselves from speaking in harmful or violent ways, and we increase self-control because of the willpower required to stay silent. Point 2. D. Turn off all devices. I caramba. This is a big one today, when so much of our lives are lived online. By turning off all devices, you will immediately reduce information consumption by 95%. That's one big step for inner peace, one giant leap for Pratyahara. I challenge you, all of the above ideas involve giving up one thing for a period of time. So here is a challenge that will massively boost your Pratyahara. Give up one thing every day. Maybe you have a no Sunday, a no screen Saturday, and a no talking Tuesday. This will be a challenge, but it will massively increase your control of your senses. 3. Meditations for Pratyahara. We can take Pratyahara techniques further by incorporating meditating practices. Any meditation will improve Pratyahara, but some meditations are more effective than others. Pranayama, for instance, is the conscious control of the breath in the body. This is often practiced in yoga studios, where we are told to match the breath to the changing of our asanas. We can take this further by meditating on the breath while we practice yoga. This is a form of Pratyahara. Another excellent type of meditation for Pratyahara is third eye ajna. In this technique we focus the mind on the third eye chakra while our eyes are open. This trains the mind to control the visual sense while maintaining focus. We can also use focused awareness techniques. This is a type of meditation where consciousness is focused on any one individual thing. A good pratyaharic technique is to sit in an area where there are few external stimuli, and then focus on one thing, such as the breath. Try this visualizations at somewhere quiet and peaceful. Focus on your breath, relax, bring to mind the most beautiful nature scene you have ever seen. Focus on the visual elements of the scene. What do you see? Flowers, the ocean, a forest? Visualize the scene in detail. Hear the scene. What sounds are there? Birdsong, waves, singing, the rustle of the leaves among the trees. Continue through each sense. Imagine touching the scene, smell it. Taste the air. This peaceful visualization will produce inner calm and positive impressions. Point 3. Experience Pratyahara while doing Savasana, corpse pose. One of the best ways to practice Pratyahara while doing yoga is to focus on one asana. Take Savasana, lie supine on the ground, focus on breathing. Take